So after being quarantined for 14 days in some hotels in the country, the first batch of Ghanaian evacuees from the United Kingdom, specifically London, have decided, or some of them have decided, to pack their bag and luggage and leave their hotels. According to them, they have not received any communication with regards to their test that they have conducted, and so far they have been tested twice. Now, some of them also say that after staying put for 14 days and incurring losses close to 8,000 Ghana cedis, plus they can't take it anymore and have decided to leave.
And the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, with COVID-19 pandemic as a backdrop, I quote, "We know how to bring the economy back to life. What we do not know is how to bring people back to life. This is the heartbeat of the father of the nation, that human beings are more precious than economic gains. And this non-negotiable moral virtue should guide the landlord and tenant relationship within the confines of the law when the world is overwhelmed by the novel coronavirus. The life-threatening situation we find ourselves in as a nation has not suspended the law governing landlord and tenant relationship. On the contrary, the President is calling on all Ghanaians to be law-abiding more than ever before. Now, what does the law say about eviction of tenants by landlords? Section 19 of the Rent Act 1973, Act 220, as amended by Rent Control Law 1986, PNDC Law 138, and Rent Control Amendment Law 1986, PNDC Law 163. Gives us a clear understanding as to the behaviors that we should all exhibit. When your rent is in arrears for 1 month, you can be evicted. That's what the law says. A conduct which is a nuisance or annoyance or adjoining occupiers could be a good reason for your eviction. Using the premises that you have leased for immoral or illegal purposes, giving a written notice to vacate the premises. The landlord also reasonably needs the premises for his own use or that of his family or any other person in his whole-time employment. And when we use the word haste, and the agenda sensitive, it means the landlady, where the lease has expired under Section 36 of the Act above and will become a statutory tenant when the tenancy is tied to an employment and the employment ceases. These are the scenarios that could bring about eviction. In all these circumstances, the law does not encourage self-help, but one's recourse is a district court or a court of competent jurisdiction. May I also remind you that the landlord may face criminal prosecution if he does any of the following to the tenant. A, fraud under Section 443 of the Conveyancing Act 1973 is occasion when the landlord falsifies title to the purported lease premises or refuses to divulge any encumbrance material to the title. A conviction could be a fine and an imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or both. B, rent advance exceeding 6 months could land you in jail of a maximum term of 2 years, a fine or both. Section 25(5) of the rent law as cited. This stipulates that monthly and shorter tenancies should not exceed more than a month's rent. Under Section 27 of the law, inducing a tenant to quit is a criminal offense. For example, trying to remove the windows so that because of the inconvenience, the tenant will be compelled to leave the place. Refusing to issue a rent card is also a criminal offense, punishable by a fine or imprisonment not exceeding 6 months or both. Refusing to issue a receipt for rent duly paid carries similar criminal sanctions. There is a miscellany of other offenses, but I want you to spare you any law lectures at the moment. We are being admonished to stay at home as much as possible, and even with the lifting of the lockdown, you have to stay at home. But if where you are supposed to stay is having challenges because of the bad behavior of a landlord or a landlady for that matter, it will be extremely un-Ghanaian. How is it going to work in the environment if landlords with appetites start evicting tenants from leased premises? That will be very un-Ghanaian. Landlords must also be worried of potential tenants from foreign countries. It is very mandatory to insist that without a COVID-19 negative clearance, the landlord should not rent out the premises. We all know that this pandemic has been imported, so be careful that in the name of dollars, you're going to bring in a foreigner who hasn't gotten clearance that is not infected by the disease to come and live in the premises. I need not remind you that the virus is an importation from foreigners, and those who had contacts with them prior to the lockdown. The president is showing utmost care and generosity in these trying moments in the nation's history. Landlords are entreated to extend similar treatment to tenants, as they will not be spared if they exploit the situation and fall far of the law. May the good Lord continue to bless us all.